Hello world. All right, I'm here with the Dragonchain Hackathon contest winners. We've got Alan, John, and Jan. You'll know him as John Wants More, Crypto Lothar, and Alan. Of course, Alan. I knew that. I did my homework. But we brought you guys on. We wanted to hear what you guys thought about the hackathon. I mean, it was a big event here at Dragonchain. We got people developing on the platform, writing your own code. You guys have been in the community for a while. How do you guess feel about it? I guess I wanted to ask, maybe I can start off with you, Alan. I wanted to ask what motivated you to participate in the hackathon in the first place, and how did you get involved?
I got involved in blockchain just by going to some of the local Seattle area meetups, and I ran into Joe there, and we had a really great conversation, and he was sort of telling me all the great things about Dragonchain and talked me into participating in the hackathon. I thought it was a great idea.
Nice. John, do you want to talk a little bit about what motivated you to participate?
Dragons. No, I mean, honestly, the prizes were enticing, and it felt like kind of a logical next step. I've fairly obviously been building some things on it, and my whole journey with Dragonchain and developing so far has been kind of a rediscovery of my love for developing software. I've kind of been out of the game for several years building a business rather than doing the business, and so wanted to kind of stretch my muscles and see if I still had it in me.
Nice, dude. Well, I'm glad you joined up. Jan, same question for you, man. What motivated you?
Yeah, well, I've mainly been trying to get something going with blockchain for a couple of years now, blockchain technology, but working full time, I never had the time to do it. So when you guys did it over a whole weekend, it's like all pieces came together and I had to try it. And a shout out to John, who was a big help for me on the first day.
Nice. Yeah, so for those who don't know, we ran this hackathon over 5 days. It was completely remote. Everyone was joining in community chat rooms and talking and working on their projects by themselves in the community. So there were a bunch of prizes up for grabs, and these three guys won the top prizes. Alan got most creative for his use of Dragonchain. John got the best integration prize, and Jan won the most commercially viable and the most innovative, taking two prizes there. So that was really impressive and really cool. I wanted to ask a bit about what your guys' development experience was like, and if any of you have developed on Ethereum before or any other blockchain platform, and how you'd compare that to Dragonchain, or at least could you describe maybe your blockchain experience with Dragonchain? Jan, maybe because you took two prizes, do you want to venture a response?
Sure. I actually never did any sort of blockchain developer, whatsoever, not even backend developer or nothing. I'm actually a front-end developer. I do iOS applications. So, and I did for a while before going to that, I did some web development as well. So that's where I got a bit of JavaScript experience. So basically, knowing that you could program in whatever language you could, and you guys having examples with Node.js, that's what I tried, that's what I did, and I was able to make a working prototype in a weekend without zero experience. So.
Nice. How would you describe that experience? Like,
I mean, nothing less than amazing, because you read everywhere that developing blockchain applications is hard, especially on Ethereum with that Solidity or something. I don't even know the name of the language that they use. So yeah, being able to do a proof of concept over a weekend, it was amazing. Also, you had a lot of good documentation. Of course, having all the Dragonchain developers available for asking questions was a huge help during the hackathon itself. So thank you all for that as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
I know I can speak for the devs here. We had a great time participating in the hackathon and helping everybody out. You guys in the community were really helpful. You guys were chiming in on other people's questions and stuff. That was really cool. So seeing the community grow and like help each other has been like a really fun experience for all the devs here. Yeah, do you want to talk about your dev experience at all? What was it like for you?
So I've never done any blockchain development before, but it was really intriguing, the idea of encapsulating these in Docker containers. So I wondered, what could I really do with this? And there's really no limit. It'll run on any platform, any operating system that will run inside a Docker container. So I decided to, because I have a lot of familiarity with Unix and Linux, develop just a shell script that executes, it communicates with the blockchain through your DCTL commands, and then I wrote some one-off programs, one in C, one in C++, and the script actually makes some one-line calls to Python. So it's using all those different technologies to interact with Dragonchain.
That is awesome. I love to hear that. I mean, you're able to tie a bunch of different languages together and not have to learn something completely new. That's got to be awesome. John, how was your experience? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Tell me.
It was kind of just sort of the next step. I was going to build the project anyway, so I primarily have been more of a back-end developer, and not a particularly awesome one, but that's kind of where my focus has been. And then on system architecture and kind of designing these things and putting them together and figuring out how we can take pieces and parts of different things to make them work, but never anything with blockchain. I actually struggled for a very long time until I finally just kind of bit the bullet and dove in with Dragonchain on understanding how blockchain is supposed to work technically. I mean, you get the big picture. If I give you a picture of an apple kind of thing, sure. But understanding how that actually comes together in the code, in the technology, I couldn't get my head around it until I started diving in with Dragonchain, and being able to learn it in languages that I already know and use on a daily basis is what really made that possible. Well, that and some amazing Dragonchain developers who put up with a lot of stupid questions from me. So yeah, the whole experience developing with Dragonchain, not just the hackathon, but all of it has been truly, truly amazing. And I've got this new skill set in my pocket that I can take and use with my clients and my own projects and everything else. So yeah, truly awesome experience.
Nice. Man, that's so great to hear. It makes me feel good that you guys actually had a good time and we actually help out. So it's cool to see someone building on the software you worked so hard to develop. I mean, we put so much time and effort into this, and to see you guys, put projects together and build on them was so exciting. What do you guys think the next steps are for your projects? Jan, you won 2 categories, man. What do you feel like the next steps are with your project? Can you describe your project a little bit and what your plans are with it?
Yeah, sure. Actually, my project is something that I in my company we are already working on, but in a completely centralized fashion. But when I was reading the description of the hackathon, one of the main things that you mentioned is integrate existing systems into blockchain. So I was like, boom! I went to my boss, say, hey, I've been actually trying to get him into the blockchain technology for a couple of years now, and he was always not really interested. And I was like, okay, let me do this weekend, my own time. Let's see how it goes. Maybe it goes well, and then you'll see that it's worth a shot. So as you can see, it went well. So I didn't have a lot of time to speak with him because of all the holidays that happened between the hackathon and now, but he was definitely interested. He knows that I won, so he's definitely interested now. And I basically had to make a meeting or something with the rest of the team, which is not a huge team. We're a very small startup here in Central Florida. And yeah, we're gonna get together and see if we can put the blockchain side to the project, back a bit. The project itself is like a temperature monitoring solution. We're using sensors, like Internet of Things kind of sensors, where you, for example, put sensors on a fridge, cooler, to make sure that you don't lose the cool chain for food, which is a pretty big deal.
In restaurants and stuff. Yes.
Kind of,
I was saying that's huge in restaurants where you have to keep temperatures. You have to track the temperatures of food and make sure it doesn't go into the danger zone. And a lot of times employees could forge those things, and with an Internet of Things blockchain solution, you could have that completely ledgered for you automatically. making it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nowadays it's like a very manual process. They get like employees wasting a lot of time writing down temperatures, going over everything, watching for the temperatures and stuff. And with this technology and our sensors, not only they allow employees to go back to doing other things and not these, but also, like you said, you remove all the manual process and forging of data. So when the inspector from USDA or whatever, or even the consumers, I mean, you could somehow, like you guys do with a knowledge perk, you could, if you wanted, put a QR code wherever, and hey, customer, scan it.
Right.
You know that food has been good throughout the whole chain.
Awesome. Yeah, man, that one really struck a chord with the community, and a really cool project. I'm excited to see what you do next with that. Alan, you won most creative for your integration. You want to talk about the next steps for your app?
Yeah, I've actually continued development on it. So the first iteration of it was just a simple command line interface that writes transactions to the blockchain that contain a meme image, so you can actually post these images onto the blockchain. And then the second step I just completed last night. There's a little bit of testing left to do, but it replaces that with it's a hybrid. So there's a command line driver, and then it's a smart contract with a microservice embedded in it that executes all the back-end checks when it submits the meme to the chain. And it does all the same steganographic checks that embedding and steganographic checks that my Hackathon project does. And so that was easy. The hardest part about that was learning enough Node.js, and I didn't have to do that. I chose to do that. And then the third step is going to be replacing that command line driver with a Flutter app, so that this thing will actually behave a little bit like its own social media app, where you're posting memes and to the blockchain, and you can go and see the list of things on your timeline that you've posted.
Love it. Meme tracking, right?
Exactly.
Tracking memes and like the popularity of them, where they go, who retweeted them or whatever.
Exactly.
And all recorded on the blockchain. This is, I mean, what a cool piece of technology. You're using steganography, is that what it's
Yeah,
which
so
is like where you put information into images?
There's hidden information in the image. It does alter the image, but not visibly enough to be detectable. And in there is an actual JSON block with a unique image ID, the address of the person who first posted it, or sorry, who most recently shared it, and an optional little message that you can just put in there for fun to tell other people. And so every time somebody shares or reshares it, their address is written as the most recent share. But back on the blockchain, you have this long list of the entire ledger of all the people who have ever shared this image. That
is awesome. I can totally see this going places, and people using that to track who started a trend, or like to know where this meme came from, who made the first one, who's the OP on something.
Well, and even then, what's also cool is that you can see where it really branched and went viral. So maybe one person posted it and they shared it with a few of their friends, and they shared it with a few of their friends, and then some big influencer shared it with 100,000 people, and then it went viral. So you can actually track that.
That's exciting. Do you have plans to monetize this thing, or take it to market, or what are you?
I think there's a potential for that. Yeah.
That sounds exciting. All right. Well, I want to move over to John. Last in our programs, first in our hearts. I want same question. What are your next steps, man?
Sure. So what I had built was kind of a combination of ideas. It was we routinely get questions from our customers in the continuing education field about what happens how do they access their records of credit if our company shutters and they have to prove that they completed their continuing education to a state bar organization or something like that. So my project was to create a sort of third-party repository and ledger of continuing education credit earned from any other continuing education provider. And then on top of that, to create a loyalty program that awards points for every hour or every credit earned. And then on top of that, a marketplace of related vendors that you can then spend those points with, in addition to spending those points back with your original continuing education provider for discounts on future CE. So it solves a lot of different problems that we face as continuing education providers in that side of my business. Going forward, my intention is actually, I was talking to Jan about this earlier. My plan is to sort of battle test it in a sort of mini season that we have coming up in February. So in the hackathon, I'd actually already integrated it with my existing client and that side of my business. So I'm going to clean up that integration a little bit, sort of test it a little bit more effectively locally rather than rushing it to finish up a project, and then launch it. And at least behind the scenes, I may not show it to the customers yet, but start gathering those in from real customers using our system in real time and awarding that credit and tracking those transactions and making sure double quotes don't throw off the PDF capture system and all that kind of stupid crap.
I remember seeing your integration. It looked production ready, at least from that demo. I know you may have cut out some bits or whatever, but it looked amazing. You had a really awesome product, but it seemed so well put together, so much thought behind it. It looked really. If you guys haven't seen this video of John's demo, I would totally encourage you to go check that out. We'll put probably links to all of these guys' demo videos up here so you guys can all take a look. But really cool product there. I'm super excited to hear what you have coming up. Do you have plans to monetize it?
Absolutely. So like I said, I want to battle test it, make sure it's working, and then launch it with our to our actual customers so they know about it, test it a little bit more. And then, yeah, absolutely. I plan to stick Stripe right in the middle of a smart contract and add auto billing and launch this thing out and then spread it to other marketplaces as well. So, yeah, definitely plan to pursue it.
That sounds awesome. All right, well, just wrapping this up, I wanted to ask you guys if you had any advice for people who are building blockchain applications or thinking about getting into blockchain. Do you have any advice that you would give engineers or maybe non-engineers thinking that they might want to get into this field?
Jump in. I found it to be a lot easier than I expected. This was a 5-day competition, and I have a day job, so I really only spent the weekend working on my project to get to a minimum viable hackathon submission.
Yeah, okay. Jan, same question. What would you have as advice for anyone else trying to get into this industry?
Yeah, I mean, very similar to what Alan said. Just don't be discouraged and jump in, keep at it until you get it done. I mean, like I already mentioned before, I had zero experience. I actually thought twice during the hackathon about giving up. I actually think that on Friday, I even mentioned to John that I was just dropping the ball. I just couldn't get my head around it. And the few experience that I have with backend technology is like very relational database kind of stuff. So my head was just too wrapped into that. But thanks to him and thanks to all the Dragonchain devs that helped me throughout the weekend, I just kept going and yeah, and I won.
Awesome.
So that just proves to you, first of all, super easy to do to program in Dragonchain, and second, if you set your mind to it, you can get it done.
John, these guys are saying that it's easy to do and that they should jump in. Do you disagree with them?
No, not at all. If you have never written software in your life, I probably wouldn't recommend jumping straight into blockchain development. But assuming you already have a pretty good head for at least some development, like you've built a product before, you know a language. Don't be intimidated by the fact that it's the blockchain. Dragonchain makes very uniquely makes blockchain development approachable, and that's what drew me to Dragonchain in the very beginning at the ICO. And the only other thing I would add is join the community. Get into the developer Slack. Get on the Telegram at least. Our little group of developers is growing, and in addition to the Dragonchain developers themselves, somebody will be around that can help you get your head around these concepts, get your first smart contract written and launched. It's a good time to be learning Dragonchain.
This is awesome. All right, well, thank you guys so much for showing up. Congratulations on winning the hackathon. This has all been awesome. So really thank you guys for showing up and being a part of this. I really appreciate it. But I think that's all the time I have. I think we're going to hand it over to Joe.
I think probably intermission for a little bit. So
okay, we might be going to intermission.
schedule?
So, yeah, hang tight. We're going to come back with some more cool stuff to show you guys. We'll keep you posted.
All right, see you.
All right.
Thank you. Bye.